Cause hot girls will show up. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause hot girls show up. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause hot girls will show up. I had a set of rules. She's the ugly one. I had a set of rules. She's the fat one. Girls are way worse.
Blake's dating tips.
Tiny dick.
That's a good bit.
Tiny dick. I had a set of rules. She's the ugly one. I had a set of rules. She's the fat one. Girls are way worse.
Blake's dating tips.
Collarbones up. Tiny dick. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause collarbones up. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause hot girls will show up. Cause oh, she's the fat one in the group.
Blake's dating tips.
That's a good bit. Blake's dating tips.
That's a good bit.
Blake's dating tips.
That's a good bit.
Blake's dating tips.
That's a good bit. Blake's dating tips.
That's a good bit.
Blake's dating tips.
That's a good bit.
Blake's dating tips.
That's a good bit.
Collarbones up. Tiny dick.
You can't get ass when you're doing a podcast. They left a company that was named after clouds. Cumulus. But working elsewhere would not be allowed. Non-compete. So they went to trial with documents in hand. Pro bono. And made that little bitch squirm on the witness stand. Meow. We thought they were dead, but they're born again. Broadcasting live from the Dragon's Den. Jake, Blake, Dan, and Video Man. Clear as a bell in Kazakhstan.
High five.
Terrestrial radio's a thing of the past. But you can't get ass when you're doing a podcast. No puppet. No puppet. Undervalued and underpaid. Not to mention furloughs. But at least on FM, you're still getting laid. What's up, sales girls? No more backstage BJs at Ticket Stock. You want to meet Gordo? Just lonely nights casually murdering socks. We're on YouTube. We thought they were dead, but they're born again. Broadcasting live from the Dragon's Den. Jake, Blake, Dan, and Video Man. Clear as a bell in Kazakhstan.
High five.
Terrestrial radio's a thing of the past. But you can't get ass when you're doing a podcast. No puppet. No puppet. Kip and Bodie. Lawyer Bills.
High five.
Alright, 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 alright. Alright, 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 alright. Another listening, I'm gonna listen. I wanna listen to the Dumb Zone. Through a news for news, everyone there's new. Oh, well, now they can question. I'm gonna listen, I wanna listen. I wanna listen to the Dumb Zone. Alright, 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 alright. Alright, 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 alright. I'm never listening, I'm gonna listen. I wanna listen to the Dumb Zone. I'm never listen, I wanna listen. the dumb zone.
What does Blake do?
What does Blake do?
What does Blake do?
What does Blake do?
Blake
What would you say?
do?
What does Blake do? You do here. Listen together. What does Blake do?
Blake
What would you say? What does Blake do? You do here. Listen together. What does Blake do?
Blake
What would you say? What does Blake do? You do here.
do?
Listen together. What does Blake do? What would you say? You do here. What does Blake do?
Blake
Listen together.
do?
What would you say? What does Blake do? You do here.
What does Blake do?
At Dallas Dan, Jake Blake, video man, driving in an RV named the USS. Party balls from South Lake to Oxnard to go to Dallas Cowboys training camp. The Dumb Zone crew taking it to the next level, stopping Albuquerque, Flagstaff, and Kingman. Matt Dallas driving Blake, playing video games. Dan wishing he flew. Jake happy he is flying home. Video man recording it all, starting driving up 287 to Amarillo. The big Texan 72-ounce steak. Let's go, Jake, on to Albuquerque to see Walter White. Let's go to his house in the car wash on the Flagstaff and Sedona. Don't forget Winona, Dumb Zone standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. Route 66 along the way before we get to Kingman. Let's see some cool stuff. Painted Desert, Petrified National Forest, Sedona, Arizona's there in Williams too. In the Mojave Desert, should've stayed in Flagstaff. Let's keep partying, Blake still on the NCAA. Haven't heard a word from him. Cruising into Oxnard, let's go Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? When we get there, let's go surfing, burritos, Spencer's, and maybe a little ludicrous. Let's go Dumb Zone Nation, support you boys. We need some Dumb Zone subbies so the shows can go on forever. Video man, recording it all, starting driving up 287 to Amarillo. The big Texan 72-ounce steak. Let's go, Jake, on to Albuquerque to see Walter White. Let's go to his house in the car wash on the Flagstaff and Sedona. Don't forget Winona, Dumb Zone standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Route 66 along the way before we get to Kingman. Let's see some cool stuff. Painted Desert, Petrified National Forest, Sedona, Arizona. It's there in Williams too. Then the Mojave Desert, should've stayed at Flagstaff. But let's keep partying, Blake still on the NCAA. Haven't heard a word from him. Cruising into Oxnard, let's go Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? When we get there, let's go surfing, burritos at Spencer's, and maybe a little ludicrous. Let's go Dumb Zone Nation, support your boys. We need some Dumb Zone subbies so the shows can go on forever.
I've been tapped out, so that I've been hurt, knocked out. I mean, literally sick with the flu. And then hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Sick with the flu, and then hit with doo-doo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Literally sick with the literally sick with the literally sick with the flu. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. I've been tapped out, so that I've been hurt, knocked out. I mean, literally sick with the flu. And then hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Sick with the flu, and then hit with doo-doo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Literally sick with the literally sick with the literally sick with the flu. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo. Hit with the voodoo.
Dum 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 be doo be dum 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 be doo be dum 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 be doo be da wah 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 wah.
Well, I love you, Dumb Zone, for all you give to me. Sports and comedy.
What happened?
It's a win, you see.
When you see
4 episodes a week. Let's get our boys out of poverty. So go and grab your buddies. It's time to get more subbies. Now come into a sock. Blake's talking Argyle, that's for sure a lock. Arrowhead water, always kept in stock. Saving all his earnings, hoping Lindsey Sterling gives him a heart to Jake has got a story. Maybe it's a camp spin. It's the only news you need. Yeah, he's got a cat now. It cost more than my car. Wow, he's the champion of sobriety now. Dan's mic keeps moving, think he has a cough. Now his wife's at book club, so tonight it's jackets off. Gets an order in at Eatsy's from the salmon trough. Put it on a burger or a nice pilaf. Yeah. Is bumping, there's something always barking. It's probably Bodie. The show keeps getting better. They need subs now more than ever. It only costs you $9.60. Wow! So I love you, Dumb Zone, for all you give to me. Sports and comedy, it's a win, you see. 4 episodes a week, let's get our boys out of poverty. So go and grab your buddies, it's time to get more subbies. So let's get more subbies. So let's get more subbies. So let's get more subbies.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz.org. That is where you can lease your next vehicle. Do a top market value for your trade-in. They can help you if you're in negative equity situations. It's Fair Lease. We've heard from a lot of people who have dealt with Fair Lease. Blake is working with them. Blake's going to have his new car delivered right to the studio to stun on them hoes, as he was telling me.
Yeah, Matthew said this was the place to drive the car through the front lobby, so it kind of checks out.
Yeah.
And he'll do it.
He'll do it. And what we need you to do is when you go to fairlease.org, click Request a Quote, then select the Dumb Zone on the How Did You Hear About Us tab, and you're off and running. Tell Danny that the Dumb Zone sent you at fairlease.org.
Alright, 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 alright. Alright, 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 alright. I never listen, I'm gonna listen. I wanna listen to the Dumb Zone.
Happy Business Wednesday. Pre-Valentine's Day Eve. Eve. I'm Dan McDowell.
I'm Jake Kim.
I'm Blake Jones.
Along with Clayton. We broadcast live to tape and live to live from our downtown Dallas DZTV studios at Fox 4. Or at More 27. Like the studios at Fox 4, but our show is on More 27.
The studio is at KDFW.
Was hoping to get maybe a Super Bowl promo.
Yeah?
Watching the Super Bowl and
Maybe
every
you
break.
and I tossing a football up in slow motion.
They didn't give us that real estate. They gave that to Steve Eager.
As always next year.
And Sean Rabb. Fox 4.
News.
Love Sean Rabb. Don't know him.
Who doesn't?
I see him every day.
I see him out there grinding on stories by a dumpster.
Every day. He's on the phone. Doing something. Got to get to the bottom of that.
Let's get Noviello in here.
Let's get Noviello in here. I want to, but
play
things
Sean
just keep
Rabb,
happening.
Gay Not Gay. Steve Noviello.
We got to get a regular thing going with Noviello, but our life is still turned upside down. I can't get a regular thing going. The Luka thing does not, I don't know. They say when someone dies or a terrible thing happens that it heals over time. I do not feel that. I feel like it just keeps getting worse and worse.
It would be like if, people compare it to, there's a lot of analogies going around. As you said, death, there's spousal comparisons. What it would be like, though, is if your lady left you for another man, and she left because you just couldn't stop being an asshole. Like, they didn't even want to leave. You broke up with them, immediately regretted it, but then you had to watch a tape of them having sex every day for the rest of your life.
Okay.
You want to get over it? Well, wait till the playoffs. Whenever Luka's out there in a playoff series. Wait till the next time he's in the conference finals. Wait till the next time he's in a finals. Probably going to happen a lot over the next 7 or 8 years. And every single time it happens, you're going to be sad about it. You're going to relive it, and there's still not going to be an explanation. And then, she's going to come, and you're going to be like, damn, I remember that used to be my deal.
Like the initial press conference with Pelinka and Luka was saying all these great things about the Mavs and, thanks for our partner and all this. But then later he's been giving quotes, and you read them, and it's like, this was a gift. Like, I can't believe it. We have a 25-year-old mega superstar.
Pull the Redick clip up, Clayton.
Just about entering his, what?
I just want to play this for you guys.
J.J. Redick?
Yeah. He also, I saw the Pelinka quote where he said something like, here, pause it real quick, and I can set this up for you guys, where he said something like, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a more foundational piece you'd want to build with going forward than Luka Doncic.
Right, but he was not saying that when sitting there with Nico. He's like, I don't know, man. He is kind of out of shape. Don't know if we can give you both those first.
Yeah.
You know what else?
Don't tell it.
We're going to need a second.
Oh, okay.
Can you dig into your bag and find us a second? And
Yeah.
Nico's like, yeah, I'll do it. Man, you know what's going to be the worst of all? When Nico goes to work for the Lakers. Because he's now got a job for life. I swear, he's going to get fired or something, whatever, as he said in his press conference. I don't know if we'll be here in 4 years. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, you better effing not. I hope you're not here in 4 days or 4 minutes. But he will be hired by the Lakers, and he will be the assistant GM in charge of annual something, and you're going to curse it because he's going to make $1 million salary over there or whatever. You're going to see him sitting there with Pelinka, and then the NBA conspiracy theorists, like they have for decades, have been talking about the cold envelope with Patrick Ewing. You're going to be talking about they had this worked up, and they had to get a star to L.A., and look at they all did it, and I don't.
Can I throw a little water on your nightmare here? I was going to say dream, but
It's not my no.
We're
living a nightmare.
You have to view Luka as the new LeBron, and I'm not saying they did everything LeBron wanted to do because LeBron wanted a center. You like that report? Those in the LeBron camp are upset that the Lakers didn't acquire a center.
LeBron looked so giddy playing the other night.
But then the second they get Luka, they go try to trade for Mark Williams. But whatever. My point is the Lakers are going to treat Luka like LeBron going forward, and Luka's not going to want to see Nico ever again for the rest of his life. So they're not going to bring Nico in.
That's interesting.
As much as I do think there's something there, I think the most likely thing is he just goes back to Nike.
Yeah.
Or starts his own. The point is he's never going to need any, he doesn't think he needs to get hired by another NBA team. Like take Dennis Lindsey, for example. Dennis Lindsey was a front office guy for a long time. Then he was the GM of the Jazz when he put that team together with Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. And then he got fired. So what he did was he came here. And he worked very hard on things like the acquisition of Derrick Jones Jr. and I believe PJ and Gaff. But that's how you get back to being a GM. He's now the GM of the Pistons. That ain't Nico's path. You know what I mean? So I don't think that I think Luka legitimately has a hatred for Nico now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even if it's fake, he'll play off of it. You know what I mean? He's gonna.
Oh, it's not fake.
I was talking to our buddy Iztok this morning, and he's like, "Look, dude. I mean, he plays off anger. You think this is? He's always played off anger." And Iztok's point was that's kind of unsustainable, like from a emotional standpoint. And your hope is that as you get older, you no longer start. You're not just playing off anger. Like I bet Kyrie would tell you that. You can't be in FU mode all the time. It's just not healthy. So you have to figure out how to get away from that a little bit. But we're still very much in FU Luka mode, and I think Nico's at the top of the list. So this quick clip I wanted to play for you guys and just have you react to is JJ Redick on the bench the other night, and the cameras caught him. This is just some guy at home filming his TV, and Redick is looking at the bench, and you can tell he's like, I cannot believe he's sitting over there. And he starts smiling, and then he goes, stop. Kind of how you have to do when you're
tell yourself to stop.
Yeah, like you're scheming on a lady and you're like, holy shit, eyes up, stop. That's kind of what this looks like. Look at Redick.
Beaming.
Watch Redick. What?
He shook his head.
Stop.
Kind of looked over, saw him there, shook his head like,
This
he's
dude
here?
hates to smile. He done told himself to stop.
Yeah, he
Like
sees
he's here?
Luka. He's got a big
Like how?
ear-to-ear
How
grin
did
shaking
this
his
happen?
head. Like
This
how?
was-
And you know what he's thinking? He's thinking, I probably have a job for at least the next 5 years. Like to work this guy in, it's crazy. And that's another thing that I think Iztok wrote about this maybe, but he's like, man, watching the Redick post-game press conferences since they got Luka, he was watching everything. He's like, this is the coach Luka needs. Like he gets it. He's empathetic. Like he's new agey enough to where if a guy's going through a rough time, JJ Redick is like, I get it. And he knows how to connect with you and he gets life, but also he's a basketball savant. Kid might be a basketball savant, but let's remember, this is a guy who went to anger management training because of all the problems he's had in his life relating to other people. So I think his talk is kind of on we should not let Kid off scot-free on all this. It's growing by the day, I feel like
And I've said that.
You did say that the other day. And I mean, at the beginning, I wasn't thinking about Kid at all. He looked shocked at the press conference and, he's playing dominoes on the plane with Luka, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we let some of their bungling moves make us think that Nico and Kid are not a package deal anymore. The whole signing Christian Wood and JaVale McGee and all that kind of stuff, yeah. But
now here's another coach who's just looking at like, I cannot believe we pulled this off, and this is the guy I get to coach.
And he loves big men, and he loves defense, and
God. Got to get that Cavs model down, baby. Take the nation by storm by limiting half-court offensive possessions. Oh, man. You guys want – here, while we're waiting on our guy, let's play this one too.
yeah, we have a Haralabos coming on with us today.
the one with Dumont at the game, we had talked about this a little bit yesterday because TC was at the game and told me that, hey, man, Dumont and Sportsmayer got booed big time when they were headed back to their seats. And TC had an angle of it from behind them.
Sportsmare had that effing hat.
Oh, my God, dude. I can't handle it.
At least he learned where to sit, and I wouldn't think he's the biggest clown in a 2-seat area.
Yeah, and I think it was McMahon who was putting forth the idea that was somehow like we're not moving the team. I'm here with the mayor. Because nothing says committed and heart of Dallas like Eric Johnson.
Right, and loyalty to the party that he has sworn to.
Yeah, switch sides, changes teams every couple months.
Right.
But Fox 4 actually got a hold of a view from across. And you'll see Sports Mayor Dumont and Rick Welts, the team president, walking in as they're getting booed. So let's go that one real quick, and you guys can tell me what you think. 2 shots. Shitting smile. Kid stops him. Don't know what that kid said, but he shook his hand. It looked like he was talking trash. Now they sit down. Okay, so I consider this to be art. Everybody is playing the perfect part.
Here.
Yeah, so Dumont sits down, and as he's sitting down, kind of has the "What's the countdown for?" where he goes, "Is that for me?" And before the second thing he says, which is, "Are they booing me?" I could not have written a more perfect response than Eric Johnson being the guy that would go, "No, no, no," and Rick Welts going, "Yes.
Yes."
I am a professional who works in this world. I'm not going to bullshit you.
Yes, man.
I've been around the block for 40 years.
Yeah.
We have a team to run.
Yeah.
Let me make sure you understand it's like this and it's going to be like this. Whereas Eric, don't even know much about the guy. But my perception of him is that
No.
They actually
he's a glad-hander.
Glad-handing,
Yeah,
yes, man, stay on your good side, schmoozer. No. They're saying, Dumont. This MFer actually sat down. Look, what is going on here? We must be in a challenge. There must be a call they're looking at that's going the wrong way.
Did you see the thing about the SMU game?
Got that one too if you want to play it. It's quick, but.
Oh, he was, I guess Nico was at an SMU game?
He was.
So they started up a Fire Nico chant?
Yeah. You can play it if you want, but it's quick. It's just, the kids. I'm proud of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is a time right now where
I
miss being able that I don't have a SMU speaking thing for Jamie Newberg's class right now. Because it's hard to get those kids fired up about much, but they would have been fired up about this. He can't go anywhere. That's just how it's going to be for now. I'll take it.
Could kind of hear that.
I'll take it. It's an SMU game. It might be 20 kids, but
yeah,
nobody works together better than 20 drunk college sports fans.
Yeah, you're really into sports if you're a college kid and you're at an SMU game.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's bad all around, folks. Bad all around.
Had a fairly credible source text us yesterday that we're talking to somebody who might know, who said Kyrie actually wanted a trade wanted out after he heard about this.
I could see it.
He's trying to be diplomatic right now, and he might also realize, it's a business decision, and that Kyrie probably realizes I can get a max deal this summer with this team because they need me. But maybe they're that stupid and they don't think they need Kyrie. Maybe they're like, why? Why do we need ball handlers?
My hope right now, and it's tough because I watch the Mavs and I feel the urge within me to want them to win because I've grown to like watching Kyrie, love several guys on the team, love their game. But the ultimate nail, like the finish him move for us in the proletariat of angry Mavs fan is that Kyrie walks. Like that's what we need to have happen.
Yeah.
He can't demand it. He's got a player option, so does he decline it and go to the open market? I'm very interested and frankly confused by Kyrie's market because he's not really slowing down right now. But, he also benefited a lot from playing with Luka at this stage of his career. So does another team, he doesn't.
Right. If he has to shoulder like his body won't be able to handle that.
No.
I mean, that's the whole bit with Anthony Davis getting hurt. It is not a surprise at all. You don't, your injury-prone over 30 players don't usually become healthier as time goes on. And Kyrie's also dealt with some issues.
So what the market for his services is, I don't know, but I would love for him to decline that option and then take another offer somewhere else. I would love that.
What would the sign and trade be? Him for John Wall?
Decline the option, and then he declines the option and then makes the Mavs max him out.
Yeah, but if they are not willing to go quite to that level and there's another team that will, I want them to lose Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
I want him to be free.
It's so sad, too, because I love Derek Lively.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of wishing ill upon guys like that. I love PJ. I got to love a lot of these guys. And we're thinking, man, we got Derek Lively and Luka?
Yeah.
For the next decade?
Same timeline. All right, let's go to a guest, I think. We'll try this out from a technical standpoint. Haralabos, do you read me?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm here.
Yeah.
There he is, folks. Are we going to be able to see him? There he is. There he is. Where are you today?
I'm in Spain.
So, did you have to make a change in management at Castellón?
Yeah, we let the coach go, I guess, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Your first time doing that, I would assume.
It's my third.
Oh, okay. Look,
it's my third time. It's my third time doing that. First one.
No sunk cost limitations here. Let's just rip and move.
I mean, it's the first one that I hired as like a long-term coach. So it was a little bit difficult, but objectively was not very difficult. If I'm being honest, just a lot of things needed to change, and so yeah.
I want you to know that I did order a jersey, but then somewhere in the back and forth, they wanted my passport number, and I was in a.
That doesn't seem efficient. I'll have to take a look at that. That seems a little bit.
Yeah. So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for not. That's
I want
odd.
one. I'm going to end up with one. But somebody reminded me, I told you last time we had you on, I would have one, and then I was like, oh, geez, they did refund me. So customer service A1.
Oh, nice.
So let's just start. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I have questions about your thoughts on where Mark is in all this. It's fascinating to watch him from the outside because we started with he's selling the team, but he thinks he's going to still have some input in basketball ops. Go back to November, he's telling Mark Stein, hey, I'm getting sidelined a little bit more than I thought here, but you're a business guy. I just don't see how that could have been confused. I mean, a lawyer friend of mine pointed out to me that almost all of those Shark Tank deals are contingent upon who's going to have management when they have equity. So yeah. I don't know how he just got blindsided by this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think, I don't know. I can't speak to his frame of mind there, but it was pretty clear in the operating agreement, I guess, who would be running the team, and there was nothing in the language of the sale agreement that he would still continue. First of all, you cannot be, as my understanding, that the governor has to be someone with majority ownership of the team, and so, or at least an equal amount, equal or greater. So, yeah, it was odd. I'm not sure. I guess he might have felt blindsided, though. I mean, Mark's a pretty honest broker in that regard. I think I'm sure he really believed that. I can't imagine why he would have sold the team otherwise, especially now knowing that you basically sold the team to like Tommy Boy here.
It doesn't hurt that he looks like Chris Farley.
It's just like, but it's the story of Tommy Boy is like, it's very similar. It's like this, less humorous, I suppose. I mean, I saw the clip where he was shocked that they were booing him. Like that to me that's when you've completely lost all touch with who you are and how people perceive you.
It's stunning.
Yeah, buddy. They're booing you. Yeah.
It's stunning.
And he kind of thinks if we start winning, it's all going to be fine. And I do not believe that. What do you think?
They were winning before. That's the other part of it. Like, what weren't they winning? I mean, they made it to the NBA Finals. They made it to the Western Conference the year before that. I mean, it's just such a bad trade for. I mean, I've talked about it on Twitter and but it just doesn't make any sense. It's just so nonsensical, and it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you get better now, and it gives you like I gotta take a toy away from my dog, I think. It gives you like 2 years to win versus 10. Like, how is that? Like, you're in the casino business. The odds are not in your favor. Hey, get over here. Come here, jabroni. Squeezing that toy.
Oscar?
Oscar squeezing the toy.
Okay, so then, the absence of any logical, rational reasoning for why this happened, we are sort of left to speculate, and a lot of that speculation comes down to character assessment and personality. And I don't know if you saw, there was a guy who wrote on Substack, I think his name was Jeremiah, who was with the Mavericks for
I hired him.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, I figured you had a relationship with him.
No, I brought him into my department. I mean, look, he's a very sharp guy. He's very binary in the math is the math. I think he really believed that. What he wrote, I think he believed for quite some time, but I certainly didn't agree with that assessment in any way. So,
and the assessment was that early in Luka's career, that the peripheral statistics indicated he would never be like a playoff winner, and that his value would never be higher. And I believe this particular staffer said he kind of came around on it, surprise, when he started winning in the playoffs. But he also has written about like detailing the struggles with catering to Luka. And I've heard you talk about it. Everybody was afraid of him except you, because that's not really how you operate. And it's interesting to me. I'm trying to get to the bottom of whether or not Luka demanded that sort of treatment, or was it implicit, or was it just the Mavericks freaking out that they had landed the one thing you need, and they went overboard in their quote unquote coddling of him?
Yeah, I'm certain he didn't demand any sort of treatment. That I'm certain of, but someone's behavior can dictate how other people act around them, and he's the type of person who he gets hot. He flows like, he's someone who will fly off the handle and get upset. It's usually in the heat of the moment. It's usually when he's competing. It's not just in general. So I think there is that. I think also an kind of something that's not really talked about, I think, is his agency is really who you're dealing with in a lot of these situations. And his agency is, Duffy is a pretty powerful NBA guy. He's, I'm sure that had something to do with it as well in terms of demands. I mean, it's not like Luka was going around demanding things. I never saw that. He was young. Like when I think he was like 22 when I left, or 21. I mean, think about what you were like when you were 22 or 21. Imagine now also being that supremely successful at that age and being a star. So I don't know. I don't think he was demanding in that way. I just think like he was very volatile, for lack of a better word, at times. I mean, you see the guy gets angry at people quite often. He got angry at me a couple times. I never really did anything to the guy, so I don't know what he was angry at me for. But yeah, I could see that, but I don't think he was like demanding changes in this or that, or dictating what the front office should do. I mean, I know he maybe has made suggestions for a big man at times, but he was never. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it was just trying to cater to whims that he maybe didn't even necessarily have. He wielded a lot of power without even knowing he had power for quite a long period of time, I think. So that's part of it.
Sounds similar to early LeBron. I got a buddy who works at the Cavs and would just talk about when he left, that he kind of actually yearned for a bit of leadership and structure, and like the Pat Riley thing, like he needed someone to kind of guide him, to teach him. And he didn't have that early on because everybody was on eggshells the whole time that LeBron was around. Like, just don't make LeBron angry because we have a LeBron,
Yeah, I mean, look,
which
yeah,
is
I mean,
a pretty good strategy too.
No, I can empathize with a lot of people who worked in the organization. Like I didn't care because I didn't have to care. I didn't have to worry about making a living. So for me, I just dealt in the truth basically. So if someone was hurting our transition defense, I wouldn't be afraid to say who it was to coaches. And I think some of that got transmitted to him or whatever, because I never really had a basketball conversation with him ever. But the other part of it is you have to cater to these players because they are the most valuable people and you're seeing it now. This current administration, current front office thought, oh, well, culture is more important, community is more important, work is more important. We're not going to have someone who's not buying into the philosophies that we want and the fans will understand. And no, they like the kid. They watch the games. It's at the end of the day, it's an entertainment product too, and he's entertaining. And there's something about watching a game and seeing the highlights that's even more. I had more exciting moments seeing like the unbelievable things he did on the basketball court. That to me was almost more enjoyable at times than winning. You knew you were going to win eventually, but it should also be fun while you're doing it. And he brought joy to people's lives. I think it brought people a lot of joy. And he was there. He came there at a young age. They watched him kind of grow up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to me. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, even you can note that, and I consider you a guy who needs objective numbers, facts. Like I need.
Oh, but there's a human side. I mean, I deal in objective numbers and facts when I'm dealing with objective numbers and facts. When I'm dealing with human beings, I treat them like human beings. Like there's a human element to everything, and yeah, I don't understand. Like even the like people are hating on Nico and, but like he didn't do himself any favors. Like he started his press conference with a joke. He made light of it. I mean, Bobby Corrali, I'm not sure you pronounce his name, but the guy who used to work for the Mavs.
Yeah, Bobby Corrali.
Yeah, I mean, his statement on what Nico should have said was perfect. I mean, that's what he should have said. He should have said, I know this is difficult. I know this is hard. We believe this helps us. We know we understand that people will be upset. We ask for your patience, believe in what we're doing here. That's what you do. You don't start joking and kidding around, talking about how in 3.5 years you're going to be buried anyways, and after 10, and you're not going to be here anyways. Like he just started like, it was really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Kyrie is the one who's given the most prescient statements on this. He's like, look, you got to give people time. We get it. We understand people are upset. Clay had some comments. It sounded like a veteran who understands what players mean to markets. They get it. It just appears to be the people who are in charge who don't. So I did hear you tell a story, and I know this is like what I want to say is that nothing that happened really matters because they were winning and winning at a high level. They had figured out the pieces that fit to win with a Luka type player. But now we're all searching for answers, and I have heard you tell the story of having to get the lemonade out of his hand.
And that was a long time ago,
I know.
yeah.
I just wonder is it really just that? And we see Finley taking a beer out of his hand. Some German hoops podcast today went on like a 10-minute rant about his drinking. I'm just trying to get a feel for how ever present this was. Like, was it everybody all the time is like, we've got to get control of this guy? Or was
when I was around.
Just kind of a minor annoyance?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it got worse, but not when I was around. I think when I was around, it was, we were just trying to win a playoff series, so it was a little bit different. These guys are trying to now win a championship. So now I can see why the stakes would be a little bit higher and you try to have a little more attention to detail maybe. But I don't know, this idea that he wasn't durable or he wasn't, he played awful defense in the NBA finals. That's apparent. But it's also, he also was the only guy who was able to hit a shot during that series. And it can be a little discouraging to play a historically great offensive team and be picked apart, and then you're the only player who can score. So I don't know. Maybe. I don't. Was it ever present? No. There was certainly some stuff like where, on some back-to-backs, he maybe wouldn't necessarily be super stoked to play sometimes, just because he was, always had some sort of nagging injury. But this idea that he's not a hard worker, what did they think? This guy just rolls out of bed and becomes like the greatest offensive player aside from Nikola Jokic? That's offensive. He wasn't born with this ability. He's a guy's like, what? He just rolls out of bed and hits these trick shots from half court that he can do. Like he works very, very hard. He works on his craft. He developed the mid-range game. He developed all kinds of, step back was like not great when he first came into the league, and he developed that. He developed the ability to make shots now, to play off the ball with Kyrie, whereas before he always dominated the ball. Like this idea that he's not a hard worker is kind of ridiculous. Now was he doing everything perfectly? No, of course not. Like that's the other part that's disappointing, is that there still is some people around, I guess, that are kind of downplaying. Like even his dad had a bunch of really positive things to say, which is nice to have your dad say this, but also someone should be like, yeah, you know what? He does have to take his conditioning a little bit more seriously. If you want to be great, you have to. That's the thing I think that would be interesting to see if that change happens, because someone does, as great as he is, he can be better for sure. Everyone can be better. And he has a very, very simple amount of things he can do to get to improve his game, which is just take his conditioning a little bit more seriously, take his diet a little bit more seriously, that sort of stuff. But it's easy to say those things from someone who isn't, carrying the load offensively and dealing with, the workload and all the other stuff. And you just have to be patient too. Like, just work with the guy. Like, hey, just stay with him, be positive, just hold him accountable. You don't have to get up, doesn't have to go from 0 to 100 where you, I don't know. I'm still kind of shocked by it. I think it's just so crazy that they would even consider doing this. I think the crazier part is that they did it. It's the fact they're shocked at the reactions. like that's the part that's so that just shows you the level of intelligence you're dealing with. Is they just couldn't believe that people are so upset.
Yet they knew they had to keep it quiet because people would be upset if they heard about it.
That's
previous.
the part that keeps getting me, and maybe it's
think
just
he got
an order
groomed.
of magnitude.
I think Nico Harrison got groomed by Palinka.
We have heard.
Oh my God,
that analogy has played very well for us as well. Don't tell anybody about this, little buddy. This is our
Hey,
special.
this is just our secret.
This is a special thing.
So let's talk Nico, because we've been talking. I mean, we're trying to look at this from every angle. What do you think of this? The thought that Nico wasn't hired to be a traditional GM, that he wasn't hired to run a franchise and make all the trades. He was hired by Mark Cuban to be Mark Cuban's GM. And as you know, that's not totally. GM doesn't have total control. Like Cuban felt. I always thought Cuban was the GM, as much as Jerry Jones is of the Cowboys. But Cuban never took the title. Like, nothing happened without Cuban in the end, correct? You couldn't make this major trade.
Not only that, but he would also be suggesting ideas and talking to me before I even, he would talk to other people. He was always getting ideas from people.
But it feels like he hired you he wanted your input. Donnie Nelson got a pretty good amount of input. I thought he hired Nico. Like he hired Nico has a lot of relationships around the league. That'll help us. That'll help me. Yeah. But then all of a sudden Cuban's out, and the new people who bought the team are not basketball people, and they said, "Oh, you're the basketball guy? Okay, you're making all the basketball decisions."
Yeah, I don't know. My camera's all messed up here. I don't know how he. Thank you. I don't know how he.
Peptides.
Hey, the squeaking over there. I don't know how he thought that this guy would have any experience or knowledge or whatever. So yeah, I do think he wanted him for his relationships, and he wanted him to kind of bring some professionalism, a different approach. He did say to me, like, this is a relationship business. He was under the impression that I would want to continue working for the team as well. They were trying to court me while my contract was still going, and I just didn't work. And so, but yeah, I don't know. There's other angle to it is that, but also the idea that this is kind of like a power play in some ways. Like, think about Nico. I don't think Nico and Luka had a particularly great relationship. Just because Luka, if you're constantly complaining about a person's work ethic, how can you have a great relationship in some ways? I don't know. I'm not sure, but it didn't seem to me like they had a really. Yeah, it seems to me like if you're a guy who's worried about keeping your job and you've gotten, and the reason why I say that is because I look more, not so much at anything other than just the fact that all the people that were fired or let go, who were in like Luka's circle or whatever, right? Like his Slovenian trainers, Casey Smith was let go, not because he was close to Luka, but because he was maybe wielding too much power. There was a lot of that. So they kind of separated everyone who was kind of working with him, brought in new people, maybe thinking that it would change in some way. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a goofy. I can see why people are all being conspiratorial. I'm not about it, but I can see why they are, because nothing other than you're dealing with people who just didn't think this through properly makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't like even objectively, if you're talking about this team being better in the short term.
They're not better.
You disagree with that incredibly, don't you?
I mean, they don't have any depth as a ball handler. Like as much as defense, first of all, doesn't win. Let's say you believe defense wins championships, you still have to score. And now what do you do? Like, what are the knock-on effects of teams like in the playoffs putting their best defender on Kyrie, bringing doubles against him? Now what? Okay, yeah, AD can handle it in the post, and he did pretty good in his first game in terms of creating from the post. That was nice. But aside from that's not going to win you. You're not going to outgun a playoff opponent just by dumping. This isn't like back in the day where teams are just banging long twos all day. You need to be able to create 3-point shots for others. And if you take the ball out of Kyrie's hands, or you even single him with a really, really good defender, like Lou Dort or something, or one of Oklahoma City's other really good defenders, it's just problematic. And you don't have anybody else who can create a shot for themselves, the exception of AD, and that's not even really like a great shot. And he's not really creating a ton for himself. He's not creating on the perimeter, certainly. So yeah, I just think it's really, really not very. And by the way, they already had a good defense last year. I talked about this before. They already had like the third or fourth best defense in the league post trade deadline, which is another thing people don't talk about is that, but also they backed into that trade deadline. Like their number one target was Kyle Kuzma. They're going to give up 2 firsts for Kyle Kuzma, and Kuzma said, "I don't want to go there." So like this idea that it's so shocking that after all the great moves Nico Harrison has made, that he would make this deal, that doesn't really hold water for me either. Because if you actually look at his syllabus, his like resume of trades that he's made, you know, they spent a first on Christian Wood. Their big signing was Grant Williams. They really haven't done. Lively was great. The Kyrie move worked out, and the trade deadline worked out. But aside from that, they let Jalen Brunson walk for free. They had Luka on their team, and now they've got one draft pick out of it. Like they're net negative draft picks, and they had Luka and Jalen Brunson under contract. Like, how does that happen? That alone is insane.
I just don't even know anymore. Tell me what you were saying about the little minutia about having to send cash to make the deal whole. I enjoyed that.
That was there was like 100 and. In order to make it whole, there had to be like 100K had to come from Utah, I believe, and it didn't even all go to Dallas. It got chopped up. 50K went to each team, I believe. But they also threw in a second-round pick. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other crazy thing. It's like you're trying to make this deal work, and now you're sending in a second-round pick. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mikal Bridges went for 4 or 5 firsts. And Luka got 1, and Anthony Davis, who's probably got 2 good years left maximum.
Yeah, and people harp on that, and I get it. That's the logical way to look at it. But when you view it through the framework of they couldn't go to market because they couldn't let it out, which is sinister, but it's almost hard to get upset with them for having not commanded more on the market, because the lens you have to look at it through is they were not interested in this getting out. And so they limited
they wanted Anthony Davis. Like that's what they thought. That's their crazy thing. Like,
and he only
like,
played for one team.
Center? Like JaVale McGee, Christian Wood, the Lively, then Gafford, like, and now Davis. They're just loading up on centers because the Lakers somehow won a championship with 2 centers in the bubble. And they feel like this is the way to win. I don't know. Kind of crazy.
Well, and Kidd was a coach on that team. And
Correct.
I contend that I feel like Kidd was brought in, too, to be Luka's coach or to guide Luka. Many times a head coach is hired who's got a Carlisle-type resume, a grinder as a player, and they can relate to everybody perhaps but the superstar, whereas Kidd was brought in to relate to this superstar and to speak to him and I want you to help mold this kid. And instead of getting rid of Kidd when that was failing, they got rid of Luka. And it's just
I don't even know that it did fail. I don't even know that it did fail. Like, he was
right.
Yeah,
right. It didn't. They were on their way. They've been progressing. They've
Fail
been
in
getting
the
better
sense that
every
their
year.
relationship still had friction.
Or
obviously.
in the sense that they thought we got to trade him because this isn't going the way we want. I don't know. And I also say, I'll bring up something you tweeted about in a different way, but the name Dirk works for you, loves the Mavs. He will do anything for the Mavs, loves Luka. Like, make that his project to make Luka stop eating Big Macs or whatever the real root of this whole problem is. Like, make it a long-term project. And Dirk, I bet, would take that on and say, absolutely. Dirk.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, by the way, if you look at Dirk and Nash back in the day when they were Luka's age, they were out. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure he would. Maybe he would. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Dirk. I think the issue is like what you mentioned about with Kid not developing that whatever relationship. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I think like in my view, I don't think anybody he's not at the point in his career where anyone who tells him something he doesn't want to hear. It's very. I'm sure it can go well in some ways, but I've seen a lot of it where it didn't go well, where it's not in my experience, it seemed to me like he's someone who doesn't take negative feedback very well. So that's challenging. So you have to balance that a little bit, but maybe not. Maybe it wasn't framed the right way, or maybe it came from someone that he didn't respect. Because we'll see. The LeBron thing will be interesting because there's nobody who takes this more seriously in terms of your body. Like obviously LeBron's genetically gifted, but he's not so genetically gifted that he's able to play at 40 years old without being super diligent about his diet, his approach to the game. His mindset, this is someone who's meditating on the bench. He's someone who's spending millions of dollars on trainers, body, every single bit of it. He's working out like religiously. So doesn't mean Luka has to do that to succeed, but it's my view that it certainly would not hurt. Like I don't think it would hurt him to take that approach.
Yeah.
Now, whether it happens or not will be interesting.
And the weird thing about it, though, is that when that happens and 28-year-old Luka has a six-pack and he's winning his first ring, in some way it'll be viewed as validation for Nico and Kid of like, look, see? Now he's taking himself seriously and he's a champion. And I'm like, they were in the finals. They were in the finals.
Yeah, but the other part is he would have, that comes with age. It comes,
sure.
Things change, things happen in your life. Like maybe losing another, who knows, maybe losing in the finals was enough for him to get motivated. I don't know. I think the part that I don't get is that, like, of course everybody wants to win. Winning is important. Like I want to win. Like I'm trying to develop a really, really good culture. I am pretty cutthroat with my team in terms of like people that don't fit into that culture. I don't want to be around. But the other part of it is like sometimes you have to let people enjoy themselves, and I mean the fans, and you're bringing a certain joy to people's lives. You're bringing, and it's not like you're not making the playoffs. Like you're going to the finals. You're doing things. You're compounding growth every year. You're getting a little bit better. You're getting a little bit closer, and people are enjoying themselves. The fans are. I don't know. And the other part is like the people who are critiquing him had no business. Like, I'm sorry, but those people have not accomplished anything. They're not accomplished individuals. Who are they to be talking about what it takes to win? That's the part that I found really, really offensive. Like, what have you done in your life that allows you to, yeah, okay, you're in charge of the team, and so you're beholden to that. But like, also, come on, give me a break. What have you inherited a pretty good roster. You inherited a generational superstar. Have a little bit more humility, I think, in knowing what it takes to win, especially when. And then forget about, Nico's in a tough position, so I can empathize him. But the owner, I mean, this guy's like the definition of, he's
the
just
nepo
mediocre.
baby fail son. He
married into money. He's, by the way, he doesn't take, like, if someone's going to talk to someone else about being fit, like I can, I at least work out. I take care of him. This guy does not look like he's ever denied himself a luxury of an extra meal. And so for him to talk about what it means to win and then to reference Shaq as like the ultimate example or one of the ultimate examples of it, it's just so tone deaf. And yeah, like, dude, like, obviously you're charming. You managed to marry into this amazing family, like that makes a lot of money or has a lot of money. Great. Congratulations. But what else have you accomplished other than going to school? People go to school. Well, you worked at Bear Stearns. How'd that work out for you? Like Bear Stearns is a real fantastic company that almost bankrupted the whole country. So I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who are so adamant in just have a little grace and be like, you know what, this is difficult. I underestimated how much this, we were new to this. We bought this team. We didn't realize, wow, like we'll do better. Like we're trying to get better every day. We're trying to make better decisions. We care about the fans. Like, please trust us. We really want to bring something special, but they don't. That's the other thing. They really don't. They don't care. They don't care enough. They don't care about Dallas. They're not from Dallas. They're not Dallas people. It's a real estate play for them. It's yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. Just the fact that you get Ishbia or some of these other owners, even the Clipper Ballmer, big fans, Cuban, huge fan. They come in and they buy a team. It's kind of like their fantasy team. But they get to make moves and trades and they want to do stuff. These guys weren't big basketball fans that bought a team. They bought a team for financial reasons.
Yeah. And the other part of it is like Ishbia, self-made, Ballmer, self-made, Mark, self-made. You know, it's just different. It's like someone gave this guy a toy and he decided to, he got bored of playing with it or something. I don't know, or who knows? Maybe they just trusted Nico and Nico convinced them, and then now they're just covering up for it. But it's just a weird situation. It's just, if I was a fan, I would just be done with it, because what possible evidence do you have that they're going to make good decisions going forward? They, even like the Davis situation, they trade for this guy, they bring him, now he plays. Now, was he healthy when he decided to play? Did they rush this situation because of the
backlash and
the backlash? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just such a weird, short-sighted. It's so goofy. I don't get it. It's like a 2-year window to win when you had 10 with a top 3 player.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make it.
I think I, as a common man, just assume that people who have a lot of money like you are very smart. And I'm comfortable like that. I'm like, well, shit, that makes sense. That guy's a lot smarter than me. But when I see that this is how people with a lot of money operate.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I don't think it's true. People that have achieved things in life have, whether it's through, like what Mark did or what Matt Ishbia did or whatever, that like they've done things, like they've at least
built things.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't mean to disparage this guy too much, but I mean, he married into a rich family. I don't know what else to say.
And then just hearing the audio of when he's really bowing up, you read it in the text, you're like, that's a little weird. And then you hear the audio and he's like, that's how I win outside of basketball and my businesses. And if you want to take a vacation, don't take it here. I'm like, I cannot believe that you have puffed yourself up to a point where you feel like you can talk about Luka fucking Doncic like this. This guy?
He played 100 games that year. He played in the summertime. He played in the playoffs. He played in the regular season. Then he played again when the season was over. I don't know where his vacation was from. And literally spoon-fed all of these players. Created a bunch of he led by the way, he led the playoffs in like points, assists, 3-point shots make, steals. Like he led in like 5 different categories. Like where's this vacation idea come from?
I think no one's ever done that.
Right.
And the first player to ever did it.
And Haralabos touched on this, but I thought this year was even more encouraging because if you look at his usage rating, it's come down. And as you pointed to, he's embraced playing off the ball a little bit more, which was kind of what I feel like the next step of his basketball evolution would be. It's like we cannot that Western Conference Finals team, don't hope on being able to win like that. But winning the way that they were starting to this year is like, oh shit, okay, now they can actually maybe prolong his career, lighten the load on him. It just seemed like everything, as you said, was compounding improvement in the right direction, and now we're here. And now we're here.
I mean, I don't have a lot of. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wasn't necessarily like super well liked by Dallas fans in general. I have no idea why, other than some banana decided to write a hit piece against me. But yeah, I feel bad for them. It's just like. By the way, how is he not getting any of these? Not this leak, but any leak in general. All his leaks went away. Like he's not broken a story since my story. You would think like he'd be the go-to guy if you wanted to break a story.
This is not for me to get involved in.
I don't know. It's just interesting to me. Like,
yeah,
it's interesting. Like he didn't even have like the information that like Mark settled his lawsuit the day of the election. Like that would have been fun. Someone should have wrote about that. That was interesting.
Okay, this is the Donnie.
Yeah, they settled. I think the day before the election or the day of the election, which I thought was funny.
So this is. I contend, Haralabos, that we do this for the Cowboys maybe every season because it's just a whirlwind and a circus. I think we should go back to the timing of the SI piece and look at this 6 or 7 year window or whatever that would end up being, 8 year. You cannot come up with a more volatile, wild ride of a sports franchise in that 8 years. And you're very much a part of it. Yeah.
Show. Yeah, it would make it, even like what I was doing would have made an amazing TV show. Like it would just been like just my interactions with Carlisle alone would have been like an amazing TV show. like sitting there in Oklahoma City till 4 a.m. arguing, and then we win the next day, and he's like wants to do it again because we had such good results. I'm just like, bro, I'm not talking to you for that long ever again. I don't know what you think just happened last night, but I want to go to sleep.
The mindset of Tommy Boy there, like you said, he married into a rich family.
Analogy. What's that?
It's an absolute.
He married into a rich family. They bought into a good team. So all of a sudden he's like, oh, this is what it's like owning a team, standing on the court after a NBA champion, or I get to be on the podium. Look at this. I'm on the podium.
And he held the trophy before the players did, which is also just like so ridiculous. Like,
yeah. And then
I don't know if he did. I assume he did. I shouldn't say that. Normally they give it to if someone tried to hand me something that my players won, no chance. Zero. Like I stay out of the aside from like having my dog around practice, I try to stay out of the spotlight as much as possible. The players are the ones doing all the work. Let them get their pride and glory.
And then, as you mentioned, the ridiculousness of who he said his heroes of working hard were, like Shaq. He didn't, you pointed this out on Twitter, didn't bring up Dirk.
No.
They have a statue of him right there. There is no more.
On Nowitzki way. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no more. But I guess if you brought up Dirk, you'd have to also bring up Dirk's early years and then his subsequent.
I don't think it's that. I think
learning
it's more,
how to eat right and.
No, I think if you bring up Dirk, then you open up the can of worms of Dirk being not a fan of this trade.
Well, okay, and that's where I was going here. What
Yeah.
do you make? Do you feel like there was symbolism in him being at the Lakers game? He didn't go to AD's first game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk about anyone that's not me, so I have no idea what it is. But I don't
That's
know.
what we
I
do.
mean,
I was gonna say.
This is our job.
Aside from people I don't like, how about that? I think he loved Luka. I mean, he obviously liked Luka. What's not to love? Like they had a great relationship. Luka loved Dirk. That's the other part of it. So Luka respected Dirk, loved Dirk, and so yeah, I don't know. Symbolism, I don't know. He probably just wanted to see him play there. I have no idea. They were in Europe for a while, I'm guessing him, and so, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't know how they get. By the way, I don't know how they recover from this. That's the other thing. Like certainly not by kicking out every fan who wants to vent at the game.
Yes.
That's not a way to do it.
Yeah, and I was telling Dan, I mean, you're looking for some level of closure, which is not going to come, and it's not being aided by the fact that they continue to say and leak that to whoever these comments about Luka on the way out. But it's also going to get worse because Luka's only about to become more famous. The Lakers are probably going to be good during his run,
and also he and LA's never. The Lakers, sorry to interrupt you, but the Lakers have never had a Spanish-speaking star. And he speaks perfect Spanish. He's going to be doing stuff in Spanish. He's going to ignite a whole different fan base that was already there, but now feels more engaged and more respected. And dude, he's about as petty a basketball player as you're going to get. Like, you don't think this guy's going to like? Would you ever want to be sitting courtside if you're Patrick Dumont?
Oh my god!
And Luke, that entire game is going to. Are you going to kick him out? Like, you're not gonna be able to kick him out for saying something, and that entire you're gonna light like this guy. I carried a grudge because Vlade Divac didn't draft him, Phoenix didn't draft him. Carried that grudge forever because he would. By the way, he would make up grudges. That's the other thing. Like, he would just manufacture situations to rile himself up, to light the fire. And so now he's actually genuinely hurt. Feels not just for being traded but also for being insulted. Like, whew.
Yeah, maybe that was an underrated part of
it's great. I'm giving him that much.
Oh, I'm very fired up for it. I got my Luka swingman purple and gold on the way, but you think about your time with the Mavericks, maybe that was something that you didn't realize you were doing, is just by pissing him off, you might have been accounted for a few wins above replacement there.
But here's the thing, like, I never actually had a conversation, aside from like when we did trivia or something together and I like made like a comment, like a funny joke about him, like, or one day he showed up. One day he was I was in the locker room, and one day he was not dressed, and so he had to like put on something. He couldn't just wear sweats to sit on the bench, so he put on like this jacket, and I was just like, bro, like, you can't wear those jacket with those shoes. I want to tell you, they don't go together. Like, you should just find a different. And then I was just joking. I didn't, but I think it actually did offend him. I think it hurt him. So, but I'm just that, maybe my delivery, but it was just a joke. It wasn't, it wasn't a big deal. But Yeah, but I never really. Yeah, the one thing the one thing I will say is we had a big thing on transition defense one year and how we were going to solve our transition. The whole summer was transition defense, and I was just like, I think I sent an email and I was like, you guys are all tiptoeing around. Like the number one issue is it's not the offensive rebounding scheme, it's not our shot selection, and it's not taking bad shots early. It's the fact that we have one player who when he drives to the basket, he doesn't get back. He often gets fouled. They don't call the fouls. And then he complains to the referee. He gambles for steals in the backcourt. And that's our transition defense. Like you take and that certainly got forwarded to him, I'm sure. Or was oh yeah, they're blaming you for, but it was just true. I don't know what else to say. It was true. So maybe that offended, but
it's also
just
gotten
facts.
better.
You get offended by facts and you're in.
It's also legitimately gotten better.
I mean, he was complaining too much. That's just a very simple, that's just factual. Like, why are you, it's not helping you to complain. Like, I don't think. But yeah, I certainly never said that to his face. I communicated to the coaches. And then for whatever reason, some of the coaches were trying to angle for their own kind of spot in the organization. And it became very clear that Carlisle and I were quite closely aligned with one another. And so it was a fun way to kind of drive a wedge. Well, Carlisle's listening to this guy and he's not listening to me. He should be listening to me. I'm the assistant, not some gambler. So, but yeah.
Well, on to lighter things before we let you go. So 51st State, or where's Canadian politics right now? I don't know. I went to go see Tom Green do stand-up about a week ago, and he was pretty mad at America. But I don't really get it.
Trump kind of, I think the worst part of all of this is the fact that it's distracted Canadians from what the real problem is. And I promise you, it's not Trump. It's not America. Like this country, Canada, is run by probably the most corrupt politicians that Canada's ever seen.
They got cool Halloween costumes, though.
They do, and they've got good feelings, and they're very kind, and they're very inclusive, and they've got all the flags, and they've got all the, all of the things that you're supposed to, people forget that this government closed people's bank accounts who donated to, not only close their bank accounts, but in some cases froze their money. If you donated to the Canadian truckers who were protesting the COVID vaccine mandates, your bank accounts were closed. Like, thank God the Canadian Supreme Court stepped in and overturned it. But Trudeau was like saying that they were Nazis because honk honk was code for Heil Hitler. When people were honking their horns, like when the truckers were honking their horns, they were.
Boy,
Nazis.
Dan's excited. He's like,
and
boy.
It's the craziest. Like Trudeau, what's that?
Oh, nothing. Just Dan can get away with it just by honking.
I was like. It was code. It was code, and those people need to be stopped. And by the way, they were also transphobic. I heard also. He did say that in a speech. They were just protesting vaccine mandates. They were truckers, most of which were already vaccinated. And so the Canadian people who got behind it had their lives turned upside down and ruined in a way that was shameful. And then on top of that, they've added all these carbon taxes. And being in Canada is very tough because you are taxed to death. And then you spend money and have additional taxes. And then when you consume things like gasoline to drive your car or whatever, there's an additional tax. And then there's a carbon tax on top of that. And the cost of living is high. And but now the Canadians have, the prime minister resigned or agreed to resign. Trudeau agreed to resign. But now he hasn't left. And now he's kind of rallying this anti-Trump thing, and people are very proud. Like they booed the Canadian or the American national anthem at a hockey game when they played it. Fans did. So they're very emboldened to be anti-American and anti-Trump, but they've got their own problems, and it seems like I don't see it changing anytime soon unless they call an election. So, and they won't.
I heard that honk honk was just a Roman greeting. It wasn't actually the how
Roman salute. Yeah.
The Roman salute. Yeah. Well, we need to do our annual crypto quick hit because you were on about a year ago and had some things to say about crypto and Bitcoin. And I think we got some immediate reaction that you did not know what you were talking about, and then a couple months later, it hits 100,000, and everybody was like, "Oh, maybe he does know what he's talking about a little bit." So when should I sell my Bitcoin yet?
And do what with it?
I
Is my
don't know.
question. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The governments around the world are. Yeah, you could do that. No, governments around the world are just floating in debt, and it's a giant debt spiral. And the only way out of it is to either have austerity, which is cutting spending, which is kind of what Doge and America is trying to do right now, or increase it by printing more money. And most countries in the world are doing the latter. And so when that happens, I mean, there's like a gold, even I think gold's at an all-time high because really, really smart, successful, rich people are identifying that it's the safest asset. And they're also old. They don't understand Bitcoin, so they're just figuring out that gold is the move. But there's never been a situation where gold goes up and Bitcoin doesn't follow violently. So, yeah, I'm still a massive believer. I don't really have anything negative to say about it other than Trump, kind of the people around Trump and the meme coins definitely didn't help. Definitely didn't help the idea that crypto is a scam when the guy hasn't even been inaugurated. And him and his wife are both launching coins. That seemed like such a bad, really, really despicable, really just really disappointing, but also not that unexpected in some ways.
Yeah, next thing I know, I can't find Hawk Tua girl for a few weeks because she's wrapped up in some scam scheme.
Yeah.
Have you guys been getting Go ahead.
No, they're. I mean, crypto is rife with scammers. Like, let's just be clear, it is. I'm not saying that it's not. 99% of crypto is pretty scammy, but Bitcoin is. There's no scam. There's no scam behind Bitcoin. It's nobody controls it. It's decentralized. It's it has a code that it's governed by that's open source and anyone can audit it and check it. And it's become a digital version of gold. It's the only thing that gold has going for it is just more history. And so as more time goes by, the gap between the two of them gets reduced. And then, I mean, everything in our lives is digital. Yeah, like we're doing this digitally. We're not even in the same room together. Books, music, you name it, digital. Why wouldn't money and store of value be digital also?
I guess speaking of scams, have you guys been getting it'll be like a Mavs coin or tweeted from an account?
I'm gonna charge it from my computer.
Oh, okay. Tweeted from an account it'll say it's Coop, but it's not.
Huh? No.
Or you guys haven't been getting that? Okay.
I have a better scam. My poor dad got scammed by someone pretending to be Jennifer Aniston. That was fun.
No. He thought he had finally.
Yeah, that's sad.
That is sad, and it sucks too because
Jennifer.
It sucks because Haralabos is a guy who's really tech savvy, and you would think he could protect a parent. Like I think about this as we always joke.
What chance does my mom have?
Right. We always joke that we're basically like the geek squad because we know how to back up a computer. So to our family, it's like, geez, we'll call in Snowden over here. But as you get older, it just seems like it's going to come for all of us one day.
Yeah, the technology never stopped, and we stagnate. Sad. I even feel that way. Like I'm very technically advanced, and then now when I'm dealing with some of these new and new technologies and new, whether it's AI agents to build things, I'm just like, whoa, you can do that. That's interesting.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Let's make it 2 in a row this weekend at iBar or home.
No, we're at home. We're home.
Okay.
In Europe, in soccer, the home team's on top.
I noticed that actually recently. I'm going to Portland soon, and I was trying to figure out when the Timbers were going to be there. Well, that's just tradition. I guess I never questioned why we do it that way.
Football.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
We do it that way. We do it that way
home,
because of baseball.
Oh, okay.
Bottom of the inning.
Second,
so home team is listed last, and we've been covering baseball since the 1800s.
We just adopted that for other sports.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Theorizing.
It makes sense. Well,
I have
fun
one
times.
last thing.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you on this Mavs thing. What is the end game for these fans? What are they just going to keep protesting. They're going to support like the players. At some point, the players need to be removed from this distraction. What's the like Kyrie, AD, Clay? It's not their fault. Their guy got traded.
No, I think probably what's going to happen, and you know, Saturday I wasn't there. There was protest outside, but from what I heard from accounts and from watching on the broadcast, it was pretty electric in there, especially when AD's putting up Hall of Fame numbers in the first half, just racing, going end to end. He was playing. I've always thought Anthony Davis is a very boring, awesome basketball player. But in the first half of that game, he was exciting, awesome Anthony Davis. And I think people were pretty fired up. But they were also going full Pyongyang in the presentation. Like they had the music cranked double. There were no sign. You couldn't really even get a sign in. You couldn't put a piece of tape over your Mavericks logo, or
that's absurd.
Not put a piece of tape over it and write a message. You could not, obscure the logo on your hat or your jersey or your shirt. So then they backed off that a little bit for.
They weren't showing fans on the.
They were not showing fans on the jumbotron at all. So in between the games, nothing. It was just straight up highlight B-roll. So then the other night they backed off of it a little bit, and then they got very heavy-handed and totalitarian with the few fans that did decide when they got on the jumbotron to speak up. But the players were also being supported. Like the crowd was cheering when Kyrie, you know what I mean? So most of the game, it's still cheers, and then a couple pockets of time, people were finding spaces where they thought they could voice their negative opinion and it wouldn't come off as we're not supporting the team. But my plan is to just make this a one-shot deal, at least as far as a concerted effort. And when Luka and the Lakers come back on April 9th, that if you are at that game, that every single time the Lakers are at the line, and you would normally be chanting to distract the other team anyways, you need a full stadium chant. You need sell the team. You need fire Nico. You need MVP every time he touches the ball. And I just want that cultural artifact to exist where Mike Breen is trying to call a game and 17,000 people are chanting sell the team or fire Nico, because that'll exist forever. They'll get the message, and then we can handle it how we want from there. And most importantly, Luka will get the message. Yeah. That's my goal.
That seems fair. And do you guys think Kyrie wants to stay with the Mavericks? I feel like it's a tenuous. I guess that's the evidence of Nico's relationship building, is the fact that he was able to get Kyrie to this team and keep him happy, and now still have him be there. But I feel like the ownership group and Kyrie don't really jive in a lot of ways.
No, it's been very confusing from day one on how that works. Like, does he really know who they are? Do they know who he is? Is he just kind of at a stage in his career where it behooves him to not be seen as the dissident because he's at the end of his earning curve? I could see when we've heard from people
he about winning.
Exactly.
Yeah, he also. Yep.
Exactly. But in the event that somebody who also, another team that cares about winning, can make a comparable offer to him this offseason if he opts out, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And then that's the ultimate nail in the fail son and Nico. If Kyrie walks.
Which is also kind of crazy that your entire future is based on a guy who's already advanced age and is going to get worse and worse as time goes on. And he's already past his peak.
He's past his peak, and as great as he's been in the room here, it's not like it would be totally out of character for him to say, I'm not feeling it anymore and just want to play somewhere else. I mean, most of his time he's been a volatile asset. So you've got a volatile asset. You've got a guy who on game one is out for the rest of the year. And then, a handful of other pieces. The whole thing is just fucked.
When has he ever been like the main leader? Also, that's the other thing.
I brought that up yesterday. I could only find one team where I considered Kyrie the best player on that team. And it was one of the Boston teams because he really hasn't.
Cavs pre-LeBron, but they were not a.
Yeah, and they weren't. Yeah. They were a good team where he was a lead guy. It doesn't really exist, and that's fine. The thing that drives me crazy is they were finding everything perfect they needed next to Luka. Like every guy they found. No, Davis Bertans does not have a role on this team. You know what I mean? But Quentin Grimes or Caleb Martin does because they can create their own shot a little bit. PJ Washington is a perfect wing to play with Luka. It's just
all those guys have to downsize or down guard, which is also going to be something that I don't think they've really.
Clay should be guarding fours, not twos. Clay's way too slow to guard twos now.
Yeah, and like they're going to play a smart team. that is going to, like, if AD's guarding fours, what four is he? Like, you're not gaining a lot of rim protection because you're not playing a team that's going to have two bigs in the paint.
Right.
So you're going to have like when the Lakers played Denver, as soon as Denver figured out to space out Aaron Gordon and keep him away from the dunker spot, AD's impact was minimized because he either had to, he had to be on the perimeter, and then it's a layup line from that point. So the one thing that the Mavericks had going for them is they had the ability to have wing defenders who could really like inhibit transition and also perimeter attacks. And now you have Clay, who's not, as much as he's played well this year, he's not someone who's going to be locked down on the perimeter, although not when there's space. Maybe AD could do that. I don't know. Like he's very big and he's very wide and he can come out, but then you're negating his real ability, which is he's the best rim defender in the NBA, bar none. So you want him near the rim. That's when you get the most value out of him. And if you play him at the 4, yeah, it's challenging. I mean,
it's challenging. And I think also that skill that allows him to play the 4 is the first thing that's going to go. As he ages, he's not, and that's a gift in some ways because you can play him at the 5, but you have Lively, you've got Gafford signed up. He's not going to be able to chase people on the perimeter.
How about that? Yeah, it wasn't really a positional need.
No, it really wasn't. Like with Gafford's injury, you might have been looking on the streets for another big. But even if so Gafford gets hurt the other night, I would rather roll the dice with 10 games of small ball with and of course you would have Maxey, but he's hurt too. You can play PJ at the 5 if Luka's out there for 15 minutes a game. You could do it for 12 minutes. You could get by if you have Luka. But if you have AD, then
yeah, I don't know. It's just so short-sighted because we talked about this to death. But your window now is 2.5, maybe 3 years max, and you've got 3 shots where you're not going to be the favorite in any one of those years by any stretch. The other part, like Luka was never wasn't a favorite in any of these playoff series, and you are saying he didn't do enough. Like that he's the reason why he didn't. Yeah. Anyways,
my head hurts.
Does this make sense at all, Bob? Business wise, like if you're trying to talk yourself into why did they do that? They didn't want to pay the supermax, which is looming.
I think that part is the NBA definitely fucked up with the supermax. They thought that it would help local teams that drafted their player retain their talent, but really what it did is it just put them in a situation where they had to overpay or offend, and they could have figured it out in a different way. Like, it's a lot of money. He's worth it. How about that? And it's not like you can go under the cap and save money. You have to spend to the cap. Like you have to meet the minimum. So if you don't spend enough on salaries, all your proportional players on your roster just get a proportional amount. So now, but this is not an ownership group in my view that's going to go into the tax. Like I don't see that happening. So maybe they thought it just handcuffed them in some way, but I don't think they understood it. What is the value of Luka Doncic? It's definitely going to be that.
Yeah, I feel like that limitation by that stipulation in the CBA is for mid and smaller market teams and players that you're not really sure are worth it. But there's 3 at any given time that you're like, make it $1 billion. The ROI will still be worth it for us. He's not fucking Brandon Ingram. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, but Jaylen Brown got a big contract because of this provision of the max, this the hometown where you can pay them more than everyone else. So it does put you in a bad position where for some players like that you mentioned, where if you tell them, well, we're not going to pay you that, the guys might just take less money to go someplace else because he's offended. So it does put the franchise behind, it does put them in a precarious position where they have to. But that being said, you just pay the money. Like, who cares? Like, this is a risk. Luka's a risk. $340 million of Luka at 26 or 27 years old is a risk. But trading for Anthony Davis, who's had a career of injury histories, and you have 2 years of him left, and that's not a risk. Like, everything is there's risk in all forms of business. You're just trying to mitigate risk, and you've just basically. By the way, look at the years where they fucked up and they didn't make the playoffs, so they had to tank. That's a risk. But with Luka, you can buy another year. This year, by the way, might be a completely ruined season. There's a high probability that this season is just a wasted season for them. So with Luka, that's okay because you have another year. You have another 6, 7 years, 8 years of him before he even gets to the end of his peak. And here you have two you've got the Kyrie thing hanging over you, where you're not sure if he's going to continue, and then if you do, you have to pay him a lot. That contract's going to be quite poor, by the way. Him staying for that contract is going to be quite poor value relative to what you're going to have to pay. So yeah, it's just bad. I mean, we don't even have to, like, anyone knows it's bad. Look, when the number one response to your trade is, "Oh my God, Shams was hacked," you know you made a bad trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know you made a bad trade. So.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time, man. We're not a show that can ask you and share our stories about how we made our first million, but I did enjoy you on that show as well. I enjoyed hearing you talk about biohacking and how to stay alive. Dan would enjoy it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, to all the people who don't like me, I'm definitely trying to stay alive. So I plan on being here for a while.
All right, man. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you,
Go
guys.
Castillon.
Yeah, be well. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Be well.
Thanks. He's great.
He's great, and that was very informative, but I do not feel better.
No.
Why can't he just be the GM?
Was this on the air or off the air? I can't even remember anymore because it's all blending.
Mm-hmm.
This is all I can think about and talk about off the air too. That it just feels worse every day. The more I learn, the more you just want to keep. I wanted him to say, you know what though, if they do the Supermax, yes, it will hamstring them and blah, blah, blah. I wanted him to say, yeah, I could see that at least business-wise.
Or come through with some breaking story where he's like, I actually found Luka passed out at halftime.
Yeah,
he had been drinking the entire first half.
And this is going to, like, 2 years from now, I just don't see where 2 years from now I'm doing anything except just cheering for the Lakers. Like, I don't want to root for the Lakers, but...
Oh, I already got my league pass set up. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I told you, I was very optimistic about I'm still going to cheer for Kyrie and Anthony Davis and all these guys because I'm emotionally invested. But Dumont's comments,
yeah,
I'm done. I regret going to the game Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm to the point now where I think the biggest mishap in the league office this year was not stepping in on this trade. It was that, you know how great Mark Williams was going to be for us? The two-man game?
Yeah, but we need Dalton Connect, man. Space the floor.
Dalton Connect and Luka, I'm excited to watch them grow together for many years. Many, many years.
Don't forget about Bronny.
What about so now I'm also just looking at conspiracy theories, like, because they can't be this stupid.
There's a lot of them out there.
But the ratings are down. The big topic was that the NBA rating, right, wasn't actually true, correct?
It was, once they included Christmas, they were up like 2%.
Yeah, every year the ratings are down.
They may not be killing it, but it's not a problem.
But ratings are down. They just signed this new big TV deal. We need Luka in L.A. Or we need something in L.A. Because we're about to lose LeBron, and you can't build around this boring 32-year-old. So we're going to need something. Like, nothing. Really, what a deal. Where could Luka have gone? I guess besides New York, but L.A. feels even bigger. It is the place for basketball. And now he's there with Ohtani. Haralabos was pointing out, like, now this guy who speaks multiple languages, Luka, you know how he'd get one or two questions maybe, and we're in Dallas with a Hispanic population, but L.A., he's international. His star is going to get even brighter and brighter.
No, I think in a few years he will be, this may not like fully mean as much to you, but I think he will be like, Ronaldo or Roger Federer or what's clay court guy's name? Rafa Nadal. Like, I think he'll be one of the biggest celebrities in the world in a couple of years. Just think about the guys I just named. You don't exactly have to be a live wire. You're just a normal dude.
He exudes. He's got that.
Yeah.
It's not just like, Tim Duncan. Maybe an overall better player.
Yeah.
But never had that.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis. Same thing. You probably can't argue he's an overall better player, but he doesn't have that magnetism. Like, Luka has that. I mean, look, Haralabos, the most analytical, quant or whatever ever, he opened our talk with, he brought joy to so many people. His analysis was the exact same as my wife, who hasn't watched a full Mavs game maybe in her whole life. But she knew he brought joy. to her and anybody who would watch him for a little bit.
Yeah, but he was
break.
a pain in the ass to Nico,
Yeah, he drank lemonade after practice.
and that's what sealed it.
Like, I am not interested in. I'm sorry. I got to really like Kyrie here a lot too, and I'm very sorry for the players, but they're going to have to just go back to their mansion and lie on their big pile of money to get over it, losing me as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a Mavs fan.
And I feel
I'm
like
not.
we mentioned it there, but Kyrie's comments the other night, maybe we just play him. We have a couple minutes here, right?
Hey, let's do a spot.
Yeah, I think actually
talk
while
about
you
Ownwell
cue
for
that
a
up. Okay, Ownwell. Ownwell is here to save you money, not just on your property taxes, but on all sorts of bills. It's ownwell.com/thedumbzone. Dan looked into this. They told him, we cannot save you any money. But you know what that means? It means Dan didn't pay them any money.
Yeah, and it took like 3 minutes. You go online, just put in your information, basically put in your address, and they check it for you. And yeah, if they can save you money, then they will take money. They don't take money from you unless they make you money. And the money they do take is lower than anyone else on the market. I think it's 25% is what they generally take.
25%.
Average savings of over $1,100 for people on their property taxes.
Yes,
They're up.
86% of customers get a reduction. But again, even if you're in that 14%, it's no harm, no foul. You sign up for auto renewal like Blake did, and they're checking you all the time.
Yeah, I'm looking at my little Ownwell portal here. Ways to save: tax protest, exemption, insurance, internet bill, electric bill, mortgage, and equity. And I have a green check mark next to each one because they've checked all of them for me.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Ownwell.com
How do they do
the
it?
dumb zone. That's ownwell.com/the dumb zone. Yeah, let's play this real quick before we wrap up part one, because this is about 2 minutes. I think this is the smartest thing anybody said about the trade, and it's Kyrie after the game the other night. Do you have it over there by any chance? Okay, I didn't know if you wanted me to.
I know you're out there.
Perfect.
Before. I don't know. Do you see fans getting ejected today?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't see that.
Okay.
But they were.
I mean, it's
What's going on?
Stuff like holding up Fire Nico signs, and
Oh, okay.
we haven't got like the official reasoning yet, but that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about the reaction from fans and kind of the vibe at the arena since the trade went down.
Yeah, I think it's graduated from just like hate to, anger to, it's the cycle of emotions, just the hate, the anger, the grieving, and then the passion. You got to give credit to Dallas fans. They've really cheered not only for Luka, but for the Mavericks for, 40 some odd years. And this is their community team, so it's just like I felt the way when, the New Jersey Nets moved to Brooklyn, and I don't know, I'm not comparing it, but it's just like I felt a way when I was a kid. Even when J. Kidd was on the Nets and he got traded, I was mad at J. Kidd for a while as a young fan. You know what I mean? It's just part of human nature in this journey in the NBA business and the NBA lifestyle, and also just the connectivity engagement we have with the fans. They're young fans, they're older fans who've been cheering for everybody. So you just got to give everybody grace, and to see the emotions come out like that over basketball, it just shows you that basketball is not just a game to certain people. It's a spiritual experience. It's a connector piece, and they watch their favorite players and they want to see them forever. So I err on the side of just understanding where people are coming from, and I didn't see everybody getting ejected or certain fans getting ejected, but I think it's just part of the process, man, of what we're all dealing with as not only players but fans in Dallas, man. But we got to move forward and put our best foot forward.
Just let him talk.
Feedback. I know you.
Just let him talk.
Instead of Nico or the owner?
Or the owner, or whatever they're filtering down to the people in game ops, because he said it. He's like, dude, it's more than just a game. This is a social connectivity. This is something that brings people together. We all get to decide what has meaning. And if, again, like I've said before, if you and a bunch of like-minded people assign meaning to the same thing, it doesn't matter what it is. It means something. And to have two people at the top of their fields in sports ownership and finance and in running a basketball team just completely not understand that, it's bonkers to me. I can't wrap my head around it. The closest I could do to wrapping my head around it is what Kyrie just said. Give people grace.
It's just so sad.
It truly is. You guys think I should? So I'm leaving tomorrow morning for a quick boys ski trip over the weekend. You think I should try to institute a moratorium? Keep the vibes good?
There's no way.
No Luka talk for a couple days?
You just can't hang out with anyone
I know.
for an extended period.
But I don't want us to just sit there and get pissed off about it for 3 days. You know, I got some hardcore Mavs fans in this group.
Like I was telling you again.
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur, but although it's the saddest thing, and I can't even imagine that this is still real, I can't get enough Luka content. You know what I should do? Maybe I'll have it for us when you're not here. But I was listening to Locked On Lakers yesterday.
I've already subscribed.
And just to hear, I wanted to hear their reaction. And they are just, it's so, see, they're getting Luka. I remember our thing on getting to know Luka. Now they're getting him as a much more polished product. They just can't believe it. They're just talking about, this cross-court pass he made, or this, and they're talking about the fact they've been watching LeBron closely for a few years, albeit even at the tail end of his career, but he's still LeBron, and the basketball IQ and the ability to see the floor, and they're like, I can't believe there's another one of these out there.
Ah!
And they're like, when a guy gets a pass and where he is and his ability to, and they're just giddy. They cannot believe it. They're just like, what? How?
Did you watch the game, his first game?
I watched a decent amount of it, yeah. He did have a nice skip cross-court.
I mean, he did all that. He made Rui Hachimura look insane, which is hard to do sometimes. But he crossed the guy up and stopped on a dime and tried to shoot a step back, or he shot a step back three. And hearing the crowd go, whoa, that was ours.
What is this?
That used to be us. That needs to be us. Now Lakers fans get to enjoy it.
And that's what
Sucks.
I'm telling you about how it's not going to get better. Because if you just stopped right now, February 2025, and said, how much joy is Luka Doncic as being part of the Mavericks going to bring me in the next 10 years? It's a lot of moments. It's a lot of moments. It's a lot of waking up the next day like, holy shit, he pulled it off. We beat such and such. That's still going to be happening. It's just going to be happening for someone else. And you're going to have to know about it the whole time. That part sucks.
All right.
Marching orders?
This is part 1 of today's podcast.
The Dumb Zone.